Welcome to My Wellness for another episode of Me and My Health Chats, episode number 3. Today we have a very special guest and a great friend of mine, Yves Silveira from Yves Silveira Physiotherapy. So I've known Yves for a good 4 years, coming up to 4 years now. And we've become great friends, and he's excellent at what he does. I really love his approach, his whole holistic approach to what he does. And today we're talking on a very important topic and very topical is how do we work safely from home in this period of isolation, although we may be somewhat getting the reins released a bit and maybe coming a bit out of hibernation, but there will be an element of transition, and there will be an element of the workforce that remains at home. So very important topic and very topical. So I'm very keen to get an expert on the line, which is Yves, to talk about this topic. So g'day Yves and welcome.
Thank you so much, Anthony. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm excited to delve in deep and help people stay out of pain working from home.
Yeah, so Yves is really qualified. He's done a Bachelor of Exercise and Sports Science. He's got 2 masters, one in exercise and sports science and the other one in physiotherapy. So he's certainly, he also lectures at the University of Technology of Sydney and supports a number of sporting teams within the Sydney area. So certainly lots of experience behind him. And my first question for Yves is, I guess, all about how did you discover your passion, and tell me more about what you love about what you do.
Yeah, no, thank you, Anthony. My passion, I think, in terms of physiotherapy, and I'll start with that, which is primarily, obviously, what I do. It was probably when I was about 14 years old. I got injured playing cricket, and being of Indian descent and growing up in Australia, I think it was inevitable that I was going to love cricket. But being injured and spending time on the physio clinic, I remember thinking to myself, wow, this is a pretty cool job. And if I can't play cricket for Australia, I think it'd be pretty cool to be their team physio. And then later in life, when we talk about passion, I'll share a story about my grandfather. He was sick. He was unfortunately dying with cancer. And I saw just how much impact and relief the physios were able to give him in his end-of-life care. So I thought to myself, wow, here's a career where I get to compete with sports, which I love, but I also get to give back and help people. And I was very lucky because I was pretty much sold straight away that this is what I really wanted to do. Wasn't easy to get there, as you know, knowing my story, Anthony, but I'm so grateful for the journey, and that's where I've landed today.
Yeah, it's really pleasing to hear, you've got that own personal experience through how much physio's helped you with your sporting injuries, and then also that seeing that inspiration in terms of the work physiotherapy was able to support your grandfather. So really nice connection, and it's so great that you followed your passion early on in your life, which is fantastic. So just provide some insight as to what musculoskeletal physiotherapists do, and how do you support the public?
Yeah, absolutely. I guess it's so interesting because I think it's still a lot of people, the question we always get when someone's a bit sore, should I see a physio, osteo, chiro, massage therapist? And it's a question we get all the time. In simple terms, what we like to do is we help work with the body to help people move well and feel great. So as a musculoskeletal physio, elements include getting, a thorough history about what the problem is and what's going on, objectively measuring and working that out using our special tests and objective measures, actually doing hands-on treatment to help alleviate some of those symptoms, following up sometimes with exercises, actually most of the time, and then giving people a direction, a plan as to how to get better. I also just want to talk in general, Anthony, because I think people, when you're looking for help, please, look at the practitioner before the actual service offering. I think it's very important. It doesn't matter if you're a physio, an osteo, a chiro. I think we all have little elements. I think we've all seen this little Venn diagrams. There are areas we overlap. But primarily, what I like to do is help people work on, their pain points, work on achieving their goals and helping them be the best version of themselves.
Okay. And how do people go about working out what's for them in terms of where's a good starting point in terms of working out whether I should be seeing a chiro or osteo or a physiotherapist?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a tricky one. I think, obviously, like when we do a lot of things, just looking at our friends and getting some recommendations, I think is really important, because if your friends and family have had a great experience with someone, I think that's a great starting point. But, essentially, and I'm always going to have bias to physiotherapy because I am one. So please take everything I say with a pinch of salt, as they say. But, primarily we like to work with the body. We like to work with muscles, with aches, and with helping people move better in general. And this is why I say in general, because every physio, chiro, osteo is so individual. Chiros and osteos tend to work primarily more with the spine and the nervous system and help people through that. A massage therapist literally won't give you that objective analysis to help you work out why. And that's a big part of our talk today, as you know, Anthony. Work out why people might be sore, but they'll give you some temporary relief to help you feel better. So I hope that gives the viewers out there a little bit of perspective. But just please do your research and have a think about what you want to get out of the session, because I think clients that come, we understand that you're probably going to have Googled your symptoms before you come, and that's completely normal. But come with expectations, and if you're very clear about that, us as practitioners can help you work out what you need to do.
Yeah, I think you're very right in what you're saying. It's very much looking at the individual, assessing where their expertise are, what they specialize in, and in terms of what they've got and whether that matches what that person specializes in and how they can help solve that person's problem. So I think you've covered that really well. Just on, I guess, now jumping over to today's topic about working from home. There's a lot of us doing it, me currently, and you're obviously at your home at the moment. I've noticed you're standing and I'm sitting. So tell us about what do people need to look out for, and how do they prepare best from working from home?
Yeah, no, thank you. Tony. Yes, I am standing. I just come off another meeting where I was sitting, and I'm lucky to have a sit to stand desk, so I thought I'd change it up. What people need to understand, I think, first and foremost, is the elephant in the room, the current climate that we're in, because to make most of us work from home, that being the COVID-19 pandemic. Just because of the current climate, we're all in a state of increased stress and anxiety. And what that does is it puts more tension onto the body. It puts you into fight and flight, which just makes you more stressed. And what that does, as a result, it exponentially not only increases your risk of injury, but also pain. So if you throw in, an incorrect working setup, which just puts even more tension and stress on the area, it can very quickly unravel into experiencing pain and discomfort. But again, we like to talk about our why. We just have to acknowledge that all these changes have happened very quickly, and it does come down to that stress and that fight and flight, something I know you're passionate about, mate, as well.
Yeah, absolutely. There is a lot of stress out there, and people are coping with this adjustment, this adaptation, and certainly there's still an element of uncertainty as to when will we get back to normal, and if we ever will. So there's certainly a lot of stress, and I like the point you mentioned, when we're in that stressed, that heightened state of fight flight response, that if we don't have that good setup, or we're not doing things to allow ourselves, supporting our body at the same time, we're more vulnerable and more susceptible to injury. So how can people set up their place so that it's ergonomic? Is it something that someone can work out and do? Like, can they Google it, for example? Or is it best that they get an expert? And what will the expert do versus Google? So yeah, just wondering if you could clarify that.
Uh, I absolutely love this question. It's amazing what you can get from Google and from YouTube. I was just thinking the other day, I had a tap washer problem where it was spurting water and no one was around. I YouTubed how to fix it and worked it out. So I was like, yeah, there's, we live in a wonderful age with information, and I'm not going to talk away from that. Let's go to your first question. There is some good information out there to help you, and some change is better than no change. But we have to be careful how we synthesize that information and what's correct and what isn't. And that's where of course I have my bias being a health professional, but I've been working. One thing you know about me, Anthony, is that I've worked in the ergonomic physio space for the past 6 years as well, where I've gone into offices, I've helped people with their computer setups and helped them remain happy and healthy at work. Now, yes, I definitely do think it's worthwhile, and I'm happy to provide all the listeners with a little handout that they can take with them straight away, because I do want them to take action after watching this so they have something they can change. Yes, there are definite pointers about how you sit in your chair, where the monitor stand should be. Why I think it's really important to talk to individuals like myself is that we don't have that amazing equipment available to us working from home anymore. Well, some doctors may never have in the first place. So it's all good to see a gold standard, but what do you do if you don't have the resources to be able to make it that gold standard? How do you change it? What do you change? And that's what I've enjoyed helping people with, because subtle changes can make the biggest differences. We've helped people get out of neck pain and shoulder pain by subtle adjustments to their setup. And respectfully, you can Google and you can probably trial and error, and may come up with a solution. But there's a reason why we have the training to be able to help you with that. So yes, please, to summarize, if there is some information, I'll provide some for you, so it's very reputable. But understand that you might have to individualize it depending on what's around. The things I've seen, people working on ironing boards, people working on their couches in different positions. How can we make that a bit more ergonomic? There are ways to do that, believe it or not. And yeah, it's a pleasure to help people be more optimal.
I love how you take that individualized approach, because everyone's coming with a different budget and how much they can spend in terms of that setup. So that individualized approach, you can obviously work in with their budget, looks at what's available and what's going to actually work for them. Because I'm sure with Google, you're going to get prioritization based on how much they're spending with Google ads, or how good is their SEO, and you may not be getting the best value for money through Google, whereas you'd be looking in the best interest of the client and serving them and their needs. So I liked what you said there around that individual.
Can I just add to that, Anthony, because I think that's so important. Some companies I've been very lucky enough to work with, they've given, some of the bigger corporate companies have given their workers budgets of up to $1,000, to say, set yourself up from home, because they think they'll be in it for the long haul. So it's wonderful to work with them, because I can actually, and believe it or not, sometimes $1,000 is not that much when you do research, but we can help optimize and do that. But other people don't have a budget and paying out of pocket. So there's still stuff we can do for that. And this is what's important, not promoting us too much, but you want to work with what you have. And just because you may not have a huge budget doesn't mean that we can't help you. And I think, I got into this industry to help people and to, help them get out of pain, be the best versions of themselves. So if anyone's struggling with that, I will be happy to have a phone call or a conversation with you. Because if I can help you avoid having pain and dysfunction just by a call, I've done my job.
It's fantastic. Thanks, I really appreciate that generosity. Just in terms of that do nothing scenario. So people, may listen to this and they may think, it's good to know about, but I'm all right. I think I'm happy with my current setup. What can happen if someone does nothing and just continues to persist with what they've got? What can that lead to long term?
Yeah, absolutely. We definitely saw this at the start of the pandemic, with just so much uncertainty and people being so fear avoidant just to move at all. I think, pain is actually, this is controversial, but sometimes it's not a bad thing. It's your body telling you that something's not right. what people need to understand that pain's on a continuum depending on the individual. Dysfunction sometimes will happen without even pain being present. So the more we ignore incorrect ergonomic setups, the more we ignore our pain symptoms, it eventually gets to a stage where it can become full-blooded and nasty. And when you're ready to take action, it's going to be that much harder to deal with than if you get to it early, you're proactive, you're preventative. So yes, I completely understand this current landscape of people not wanting potentially to pull the trigger on an investment to do that. But let me tell you, it is much more expensive to deal with when you have to actually either stop working because of your pain symptoms or, make a change, because it can actually become nasty. And we talk then about overuse injuries, like your tennis elbows, like your chronic headaches, like your chronic neck and shoulder and back pain that have built up over a longer period of time. And it happens quickly, but we need to help people understand that pain is a continuum. And usually when people are in pain, it's almost towards that end of the continuum. So the more we can be like, right, I'm working from home, I don't want to ever be in pain, what can we do? I love seeing people like that as well.
I love that prevention approach, prevention rather than worrying about, what the cure is going to be. So, I love that angle. Firstly, you've mentioned individualization, and then secondly, this prevention, be proactive, take action and prevent the potential. So that's, awesome. I just wanted to ask about, in terms of sitting and standing, like, is there a certain time limit we should sit for and then we should stand, or should you go with what your body's telling you in terms of signals, in terms of discomfort, or is there something you can recommend around sitting and standing throughout the day?
Yeah, absolutely. You've probably seen a lot of these fancy, I'll even take my computer and show you, fancy sit to stand desks. So I'm lucky enough, I've invested in one, and here's my desk, and it actually goes down, down and up, which is nice. I point that out because they are called sit to stand desks, not standing desks. Very important, Anthony. What the research shows is we don't want you to sit or stand for prolonged positions, because being in a prolonged position is what causes a lot of these irritations and dysfunctions. The key is to change position.
Okay.
So there's no silver bullet to tell you should stand for, the research shows you should stand for 10 minutes and sit for 10 minutes or things like that. But the more we can just change from, sitting to standing and moving, the better it will be. And, you can think about it. If we're in any position for a prolonged period, we get stiffen up. So movement's just a key element of it. And if you're lucky enough, like me, to have access to a sit to stand desk, just change it every hour or so. Or, I've been talking to a lot of my clients who are working from home. They have two different work areas. One, standing in the kitchen versus sitting on the dining table. And that's really nice as well, because we're just changing position. So changing position is key.
Okay, change. Got it. So I should certainly get up after this meeting from sitting and move around a bit.
Definitely.
In terms of, what's your number one tip of, ergonomics working from home? What would be, if you had so much to spend, where would you invest it? Or what do you recommend around exercises, around that prevention? Yeah, so I guess I'm looking for maybe top 3 tips around working from home and how to do it safely.
Okay, so number 1 is definitely what I just said about movement. It is so underrated, and you'd be amazed at how just getting up and moving will significantly help you. So please make a conscious effort, put a timer on your phone, remind yourself. That can be the difference between you having a headache at the end of the day, not potentially, depending on your circumstance. The second thing is definitely just looking at your chair setup. I'll bring my desk down and actually it's turned off. That's all right. Your chair setup's really, really important. Things about that are just looking at making sure it has a nice support where you can relax back. So too often we see people leaning forward and sort of crouching down. We want people to, move forward and just relax back into the chair. So a really nice chair with a good setup can make a big difference. And the third thing is literally like, as you can see from my desk over here, and excuse the clutter for a second, you can see how much depth I have in the desk. So one thing we see is that we crouch over and we type like this. The more we can just relax our arms like this, we take our body weight through the neck and through the whole body as opposed to neck and shoulders. So this just relaxes more. So, just to summarize, move, a nice chair with good support, because I know some people are just still sitting in stools and stuff like that, where you can support yourself, and try and pick a desk that has a good depth that you can actually relax your arms. A lot of us will be working from laptops. And of course, we can just Google to show you generally want your screen just about at eye level so your neck's nice and neutral. But if you're working on a laptop, sometimes that's not practical. But having your arms supported just relaxes the whole body and just takes pressure off the area. It's a really good trick that can help solve a lot of issues.
Fantastic. I love those top three. I need to do a couple of them myself. So thanks for those sharing those tips, Ives. Now, for the viewers' sake, they've you've educated them a bit about why they need to be I guess monitoring their ergonomics and do something about it. What they can do in terms of helping their own setup at home. If someone needs some help, how do they get in contact with you? So they're thinking, well, I've tried this and done that, or I've Googled this, or I'm now a bit concerned, I'm a bit more conscious of it. How can they get in touch with you to get, some advice around ergonomics and, get an assessment by you?
Yeah, like I said, I'll make a little handout that you can attach to this interview, which I think will be really helpful, which have my details on it. But if you just go to my website, physioives.com, we're actually putting a lot of content there about the ergonomic space there. And it has our details there. So if you just want to send a message or an email, I'd be happy just to have a conversation to see where you're at. As you know, mate, of course, we have a very affordable working from home ergonomic assessment where, we get people to fill out a form which embeds taking a photo of their setup. We have an online consult on a video platform, much like this one, and we get them to make changes on the day and then follow it up with a report so they can have some suggestions of what to do. Like you said, it's very affordable. Like I wanted to keep it that way because I wanted to make impact, and it's another avenue for people who just want to try something else because they've been struggling. And as a practicing musculoskeletal physio, like a reason I got into this field was I had a job, as you know, where I was working in the city and I was seeing a lot of people who I was treating for neck and shoulder pain, and they'd feel amazing leaving my clinic. But when they'd come back in a few days and it can't keep coming back. And I worked out very quickly that ergonomics was a big part of that. So you might be even seeing some practitioners at the moment and just a bit frustrated that the results aren't lasting, but this might be something that even helps you get the most out of those sessions with your own practitioners that you might see as well.
Fantastic. I'll include those links when I upload this, and so people can go directly to your website to find you and to email and contact you. Also, I'll share that handout you mentioned. So that's very generous of you, and really appreciate the time you spent with us today in terms of enlightening us about ergonomics and how we can do it better, and the importance of why. And I think, for me, the summary is your approach is incredible because you look holistically at a solution, you get to that why, you then work through practical tailored solutions with the individual around their setup. By focusing on ergonomics, we're looking at the prevention side of things rather than the cure in terms of, yes, I haven't been looking after myself at home. I've had a bad ergonomic setup, I get an injury, and therefore I need to get my pain supported. So, I really appreciate you enlightening all the viewers on this subject. It's, very topical and important to us. So just before we wrap up, I'd love for you to share your top one ISO tip in terms of what do you recommend to your clients in terms of what they should do during the ISO period.
I'll go a bit non-physio related a little bit, but form key cornerstone habits and be really accountable to it. It's something I started doing about a month back and all, when everything was going a little bit crazy, and it really helped me stay grounded. and it's been so helpful in my day-to-day life. I've had a shocking morning routine for most of my 32 years on this earth, and I feel it always starts my day a little bit crazy. And just forming a few habits around breathing and meditation has really helped me slow down, taking away a lot of tension and stress, and really helped me eat into your day. So don't try and change too much. Pick one or two things. I start with a morning now breathe and meditation, the morning walk, and then just get into your day. And it's amazing what it can do. And stay away from your phone till you've had breakfast. That's good as well.
I love those tips. I love that foundational
Sorry,
approach.
that was more than one.
It's fine. They're great tips. They're very important that, you know, we need that anchor, because as I mentioned, we're in uncertain and uncharted waters, certainly for our generation. And so having this anchor, this cornerstone that, you know, our clients, you know, the people out there, the viewers can, you know, I guess attach themselves to and get that certainty. And before they start their day, they're feeling that I own this day, you know, I'm back in control. So yeah, great tip. Really appreciate it. And thank you so much for you know, putting aside the time and enlightening the viewers and helping them around how to better care for themselves whilst working from home. So thank you so much, Yves. Really appreciate the time. And yeah, we'll certainly get you back for another episode of Me and My Health Chats.
No, love it. Anthony, thank you for all you're doing for your community as well. It's a pleasure. And yeah, let's, I always say together we're better. So let's keep working hard as a community and inspiring others to you know, enhance their life during this tough period.
Great finishing point, Ives. Really like it. Yeah, together we can achieve more. And this is what this is all about. So thanks, Ives. Thanks for sharing with us today. And yeah, look, everyone, please look up Ives. Go to his website. You know, take him on with his offer. You know, have a chat to him. Certainly have a look at his document that he's going to share with us. And he's, you know, so knowledgeable. So certainly, you know, if you're experiencing some pain because of poor ergonomic setup, I suggest you get in touch with him. And alternatively, if you haven't got the injury, prevent them by getting in touch with him. So thanks again, Ives. Cheers, mate.
Cheers, mate. Thanks.